Boom. And it's another episode of the Brown Water Banter podcast. My name is Jared Seymour.
My name is Joey Cates.
It is Joey Cates. And we got a good episode for you in the studio. Captain Mike Strickland from the Department of Marine Resources, man. We're going to be talking about all things on the water, staying legal. We got summertime coming up.
Motor safety.
Everybody's going to be getting out on the water, and we want to do it safely. So we're going to talk about that. It's going to be a great conversation. But before we do that, before we jump into the conversation, we want to thank the people that keep the lights on for us over here at the Brown Water Studio. Right out of the gate, Dr. Robbie Williams over at Southern Magnolia Smiles, man. That's his team right there. If you're looking for a great local dentist, you can find them on Washington Avenue right here in Ocean Springs, or you can look them up on the socials at Southern Magnolia Smiles on Facebook and Instagram. When you're ready to book that consultation, you can give them a shout at 228-215-1202. And like we said, 2025 is a year to brush your teeth. So tell them the Brown Water sent you when you do it. Taylor and Cox Law Firm, if you're looking for someone that can represent you legally, fight tooth and nail for you, defend you against anything that you may be facing in the court of law. Taylor and Cox Law Firm has been practicing law on the Mississippi Gulf Coast for over 30 years. They're in Jackson County, George County, and Greene County. They do felonies, misdemeanors, DUI, family law, divorce, child custody, you name it. If you need them, you can book them a consultation with them by calling 228-696-0111. That's Tyler right there. Tell them that Brown Water sent you, and you won't be disappointed. If you're trying to get back in the gym, feeling better, and taking control of your health, Forever Young Men and Women's Health is the one for you. Their motto is bringing medicine, health, and exercise together to help men and women live their best life. So we're in what, Joey? What are we in, April right now? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not going to talk about New Year's resolutions
anymore. It's not Vulcan season. It's beach body season.
It's time to shred. Yeah. So you got to get back in the gym. You got to get at least moving around, whatever that is for you. Forever Young Men and Women's Health can help you do it. So book that consultation with them. Maybe you're vitamin deficient. Maybe you need some lab work done. Maybe you haven't been to a doctor in forever. Kendrick can walk you through everything. Figure out if you need hormone replacement. He specializes in testosterone replacement for both men and women. So you can give him a shout at 228-363-6623. And again, tell them Brown Water sent you. So, yeah, we got it. All right. So, like we mentioned, man, it is the weather's heating up a little bit. It's starting to feel good again. Winter's leaving us, hopefully, I think.
Well, you always get that.
You never know.
They call it the false fall or false winter, where you get that one weekend where it's really hot and everybody tries to throw their boats in the water. And then Mother Nature comes back and goes, 32 degrees.
Yeah.
So.
And even down here, Mother Nature is schizophrenic. So you never really know what's going on. But people are getting the boats out. They're ready to party. They're ready to go have a good time, enjoy the outdoors. And what better time right now than let's go back over the rules of the road. Let's go over boating safety. Yeah. Let's make sure everybody's having a good time but staying safe. So Captain Mike, we appreciate you being here, man. We appreciate it. Come and talk to us again. Yep. Where should we start? You're the man, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, thank you guys for having us. Yeah. It's a great platform we have here, and we appreciate the opportunity, especially when we can speak to as many people as we can talk to and doing this type of platform. Man, it's a wide open.
It is.
It's a wide open range. We can talk about.
We'll talk about right now the number of boats on the water right now. I went to the small craft harbor today, and there was probably 25 boats on what is today? Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday. So the amount of people boating and the amount of people who own boats now is totally different from where it was back then. Right.
Yeah, crazy. So our recreational traffic actually has gone up year after year after year. Mm-hmm. So what we've seen, 10 years ago, as far as recreational traffic, it's up tremendously from that. And, a lot of that has to do with, people's source of income, the economy, boats becoming more readily accessible, living in a great place. I mean, our waterways are some of the best around. We have, we have the benefits of rivers, we have the benefits of bayous, we have the benefits of a sound that's protected. And then just a few short miles out, you got the Gulf. So, I mean, endless fishing possibilities for your inland, offshore fishing. You got the barrier islands, which are a great tourist and even local attraction.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So those are all factors that's going to drive up our recreational traffic out there. We do see a little bit of decline in commercial traffic just because of the state of where things are at now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this time of the season, I mean, we had 2 weeks ago, I was leaving out for Arizona, and that weekend was a beautiful weekend. The winds were up a little bit, but the sun was out. It was 80 something degrees, and bam, man, it was just call after call after call of something happening.
Yeah.
And we actually had two accidents that day. One resulted in a death, but 2 right off the bat. First pretty weekend.
That's terrible, that part of it.
Yeah,
We're going to jump into some of that, break some of that stuff down, the ones that we can talk about. I think interest rates used to be a reason why people were on the water. Now they have since, I think there's a lag, obviously, there. Interest rates are up, so maybe the recreational boaters will go down a little bit. I don't know. We'll see.
But hopefully fuel prices are compensating for that.
There you go.
2 years, 5 years ago, it was $5 a gallon to go out there.
It's always a give and take. It's always a give and take.
Well, I remember when we were growing up, I mean, you don't have the 50, 60 boat making brands. I mean, you literally had just a couple boats. And if you didn't own that, I remember when the 26 Mako, 28 Mako came out with the 250 on it. That was the baddest boat there was on the face of the earth.
Still is.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's still a great hull.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden we got 42 Freemans, quad 450s, you know what I'm saying?
That's American capitalism, baby. Yeah, we're going to bring it.
We're going from having the biggest bay boat was a 24 foot now to what is that, 28 foot, 30 foot bay boat. So the science of boating has changed so much.
I think a good place to start would be, let's break it down with the basics, because I just pulled mine out of the old shop here the other day. Chris Fedder's, I'm sorry, this is the first time I've ran it since you worked on it. He knows that's probably October. Hadn't even cranked it since then. Go out there. We'll get into, Joey, before we went recording here, talking about safety, towing. We're going to get into all that. But I know the first thing I did, I went down my little checklist in my head and I thought, okay, life jackets first. I needed, is my communications working, UHF working? Let's go over that. So, and I know right out of the gate for me, I messed up. I got on the water. I said, you know what? I don't have the whistle, I don't think, and then the signaling device. I just told myself. So please don't let me into it.
No. So listen, the basics are, if you're going to take your boat out on the water, the very first thing is to do what you did. Just start with a checklist. Make sure your vessel's seaworthy. You hadn't ran it in a year or 6 months. Or
I did crank it, just so y'all know. I did crank it before we left.
Yeah, so check all those kind of things. Make sure it's seaworthy. Then make sure that you're going to have a U.S. Coast Guard approved life vest for everyone on board.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so there's several different types of life vests you can have. Most people do the cheap,
the orange one.
I had
West Marines and things.
Yeah.
And you know what? I wouldn't wear one of those things either. They're so ugly and cumbersome and everything else. But they really make a lot of life jackets today that are designed for the recreational user, the sports fisherman, the person who's just taking a tour out to the island. They're inflatables. They either inflate when you hit the water, or you can actually pull a cord on those. Those are great. Those are great vests, and they work good with the wife when she's wearing a one piece or a bikini, and they look good on you. It's just easy,
and it's not bulked up around your neck.
It's so much easier to take your teenager who doesn't want his friends to see him with his big orange horse collar around his neck to put one of these things on. He looks pretty sporty, and all of a sudden we're promoting safety out there on the water by getting more people to wear these things. So making sure that that there's a U.S. Coast Guard approved life vest for every person on board. Yeah. Now, if your vessel is over 16 foot, you got to have a Type 4 throwable in there too. So that's a device, a square cushion.
Little cushion,
Yep. Throw it out to them. You got to have a sound producing device. You got to have a fire extinguisher. If you're going to be in a body of water greater than 2 miles wide, you got to have a visual distress system as well. So basically, anything south of Highway 90, you need to have visual distress signals in your vessel as well.
Okay.
And what I didn't know is there's a difference between inshore flares and offshore flares. I did not know.
Did we talk about this last time? I don't remember.
We touched on it a little bit.
Break that down for us.
So a lot of it's marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of it's marketing, but you have day signals and you have night signals. Night signals is usually going to be your flares and stuff like that. Day signals can be some type of a flag or
mirror, maybe, right?
Anything, something like that. So we prefer the flares. All right, those are easy. Everybody's going to spot those, and it seems to be the most. Now, the thing to keep in mind on your flares is they do expire.
Yes.
If you put them in your bottom of your dry box down there, and that gets wet over time from condensation and everything else, they get wet. They're made out of cardboard and gunpowder. So if they get wet, they're not going to work anymore. So, we check those kind of things. We check to make sure the pack is still intact. They've remained dry. They're not wet and they're not expired. If they're expired, it's just like you don't even have them on the vessel.
Okay.
So those are always things to check each year. Hey, I got my flares. But let me check the expiration date on those as well. Look at it. Okay, I'm still good. They're dry and everything else, and we're rolling.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's different. There's the gun apparatus. It looks like a little shotgun shell. Then there's the inshore that you just pop open and crack. It's almost like a big Roman candle. That's what it looks like. And you just got to make sure that those little shotgun shells, they expire too. The gun doesn't expire, but the little shotgun shells
do. Absolutely.
How does a personal locator beacon play into any of what you just named? Is that an extra device, which we've discussed that on the podcast? Go look them up if you haven't. ACR is a great company. We're not sponsored by them, but they did send us some stuff one time. Great company, great, easy to deal with. Does that alleviate any of the things that you mentioned, or is that just an add-on?
No, that's just an added thing, just like having a UHF or VHF radio on your boat. It's not required, but it's a great thing, especially if you ever have to use it.
Yeah.
EPIRBs, they're great for that. Especially, I know I have several friends who enjoy long distance offshore fishing, 150, 160, 170 miles out. Those are 2-day, 3-day trips. Unless you get around one of the big rigs that has a repeater on it, you don't have cell service out there. So, having something like that, if you ever went into the water, is a must, because that's going to notify the U.S. Coast Guard. It's going to notify your lat and long immediately, and that's going to send a distress signal to them, and helos up, and you're safe.
Yeah,
hopefully.
If people are listening to this one, go back and listen to our episode with Easton Barrett, right? That was a good one. I don't know if you knew that we did that. The guys
the one that went down up behind Dolphin Island.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
we had him on, and what a story that was. It really I've been on the water my whole life. But sitting across the table from a guy, tell a story like that, how quick it went down, the boat went down, and how in trouble they were, spent 4 hours in the water. Like Joey and I, again, we made contact with ACR, and they came on, did an episode with us digitally, and sent us some stuff. And now I did have that on my boat the other day as well. But it changed my perspective on, it's like, I've been here my whole life. I know what's going on. And that's like, no, you can be in the water quickly.
Yeah. So you got the ones that are mounted in your vessel, and you also got ones that hook to your vest, which is what we actually have. So if you come disconnected from your vessel or ejected or anything like that, or your vessel went down in such a manner that you didn't have time to activate, this was going to activate.
And that's exactly what happened to them. Yeah. They didn't have time to activate anything. They just by chance had the dry bag that they grabbed, and by chance that was on the boat. And it saved their life. Yep, for sure. Saved their life.
I don't think you can ever have enough safety equipment, especially when you're going out that far. They brought up the ditch bag, dry bag that's got your matches, your all your stuff, flares, and all that stuff in it. But I think the thing we don't realize is like we have to have a throwable on the boat. A lot of people have throwables on the boat. But they're in a hatch, or they're in a console, or
they're not accessible.
Like so it does literally no good.
And not notifying the people on the boat. I mean, let's say you take, that big boat out there, you can take 8, 10, 12, 15 people out on that boat. If they're not familiar with where that stuff is, you're the captain of the vessel. You can't be organizing all these things and still thinking, okay, I got to get this done. I've got a radio communications. I got to call a Mayday call out. Meanwhile, they can be doing this, handing out life jackets and doing all the other stuff. It's good to familiarize take the parties that are going to be on your boat, familiarize them. This is where I keep this on the boat if something was to happen. And man, put pride and ego aside. You gotta, this is life or death. And usually the people who spend the most time on the water, we can get into this a little later, but I'm a victim of that myself. It's actually what got me into law enforcement and made one of the things in law enforcement a passion of mine, and that's boating under the influence. We go through a point in life where when we're young, they will say in young and dumb, you think you're invincible. You don't think about the consequences of things happening. Then you start to go through your midlife section there where you aware of these things happening because you've lived long enough to see it happen around you, but you still go through that mentality. I've been on the water long enough. I've done this long enough. That won't happen to me. And then when you get to my age, it's like, okay, you can't do this, can't do that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that.
Well, you nailed it.
That's going to happen.
That's the truth.
That's going to happen.
That is the truth.
That's going to happen sooner or later.
I think they call that wisdom, right? Because that applies to not only boating safety, just everything in life, right? Like no matter what you do, it's like, I've already read that book. I'm not doing that.
And my nightmares are not combat action in the Gulf War. It's freaking the stupid mistakes I made in the deer stand or driving a boat or driving a freaking car.
That's it.
And how I'm still here.
That's it. You look back and you're like, holy shit.
Oh my God. Why'd I do that?
I mean, as a captain, you're supposed to do the safety check. Okay, this is my kill switch. If something happens, pull the kill switch. Here's a life jacket, blah, blah, blah. But if you're just grabbing the family and got somebody on the boat with you going to Horn Island, that's very rarely something that you mention.
Well, I'm glad we started kind of on the checklist part and going through it because, like, you're right. I mean, I don't think I've never given a safety briefing even to my family. I just assume they saw me put it. They know, but it would be a good idea to go over it, and especially if you have a friend or a friend of a friend on the boat, especially or never been on the water before, right? I wouldn't necessarily think to do that because it's like, well, I'll do it if something bad happens. Well, you may not have enough time.
We don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Unlike a vehicle accident and a vessel accident, usually there's going to be a lot more blunt blunt force trauma associated with that, which means someone's going to probably be ejected. Someone's going to be thrown forward. Someone's going to be knocked sideways. And if you think about it, you're the guy driving the vessel. You've got basically a cage around you and nothing holding you there. If you get hit from the side or your boat cants real hard and it throws you into that, you're gonna take a blow there, and you could be disorientated for just a couple minutes. It's not deadly, but I mean it can be. But
we had that happen the last time we went over a roller, and it just the whole boat, that boat right out there, just rolled and about threw me and you out the boat.
Yeah, that was fun stuff. I literally just hold him and a T-top. He threw him back up.
Well, I thought I was going over straight enough, and it rolled like that. Anyway, so it can happen. Yeah, it can happen quickly.
Before we jump into the BUI, it's BUI. Yeah. Tell us the age of life jackets. When do you have to have a life jacket, and what foot of boat can you not have a life jacket, and all that stuff?
So 26 foot and less. If the kid's 12 years and younger, they have to wear a life vest.
Okay.
Right, while the boat's underway. It's critical to understand what underway means. Coast Guard defines underway as anything that is not anchored and moored. Drifting, trolling motor.
So always is what you need to just
basically
know. Just
always 26 foot or less. Now 26 foot and above, the 12 and under rule is no longer in effect. So anything less than that, if you're 12 and under, you got to have a life jacket on while the vessel's underway.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the DUI, BUI is almost the same thing, right? Explain that, the numbers and all the stuff that you have to qualify for.
Yeah. So the per se limit. Yes.
I like that. I qualified for it, man.
I couldn't figure out the day. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
So the per se limit, what we call the per se limit, that's where the state of Mississippi says if your blood alcohol is this, you are legally intoxicated. Regardless of how you act, how you can speak, what test you pass, it doesn't matter. If your blood alcohol is 0.08 or higher, you are legally drunk in the state of Mississippi, and you're basically boating under the influence or driving under the influence. So those two mirror each other exactly for vehicle and vessel.
Yes.
All right. The only thing different on a vessel side is we don't have the underage or under 21 rule like a vehicle does, but everything else is the same. The penalties are not as strict as they are with a vehicle, but they can add up. The fines can add up, and especially the process is very painful. It's usually going to involve us making an arrest on the water, removing you from the water. We've got to take care of the boat. We've got to take care of the other passengers that are in that vessel. We got to get them back safely. So there's a lot of moving parts.
You got to pay for all that.
Yeah, that ain't gonna be good.
Yeah. So if I call CTO out, take possession of your vessel, then that you're going to be on the hook for that bill, and that's not a $150 tow bill anymore. It's a $700 tow bill.
Right.
Then you've got your bonds amount, and that can vary, depending on the judge.
What is the safety stop like that involved when it comes to BUI? Like, how do y'all assess that on the water? I hear people say that all the time. Like, it's on a boat. How do you walk around? How do you count backwards from 10? How do you touch your forehead?
So
I'm sure it's not the same thing, right?
It's not. It's not. So where your field sobriety tests on a road are balance related or coordinator related. Okay.
2 foot seas.
Saying, I'm not drunk, buddy. It's just blowing.
Yeah. We use a seated sobriety, which is a divided attention module. All right. So basically, first balance coordination is divided attention. So we're going to perform multiple tasks using your coordination and your attention to listen to detail, and that's going to give us indicators based on the number that we receive for each test is going to tell us where you're at in that within that range, 0.08 or higher.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you have a natural phenomenon called sea legs. You can be on the water all day. I get you onto a dock. And
it's bad.
You're going to feel like you're moving.
100%.
You'll do it in the shower.
Yeah.
For 4 hours.
Yeah.
So if I ask you to stand on one leg and walk backwards and tell me your name,
it ain't happening.
you're gone.
Yeah. Not to mention the sun and all that stuff too. But so just don't do it.
So the probable cause aspect of it is for us as law enforcement officers have a very good understanding of what the rules of the road are.
Okay.
All right. And we're going to utilize those rules of the road to interpret your actions to determine negligence or anything else. Now, there's certain things that just stick out and obvious. You got 15 people coming in from Horn Island. 6 of them are hanging off the gunnel. The music's loud as you can be. And the guy driving the boat sees us and does the if I don't see them, they don't see me, and just never moves his head.
Right.
So I watch him go by. Sometimes I'll even wave at them, and they never even acknowledge me. So right there, that's a violation.
Don't move, man. Don't move, man.
Right there, that's a violation. Failure to maintain proper lookout. He didn't even know I was late waving at him. So
Okay.
I got a reason for a stop. So.
Outside of that, that is one thing I love about the water. And I hope, Joe, have you had any out of town people yet on your chart?
Oh yeah.
Do they ever mention or comment that everybody waves on the water? Right. I guess I've never heard a law enforcement officer say that there's something behind that. Can we explain that is acknowledging each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know I'm here. I know you're here.
You waved, I wave, and we know each other's there. Okay.
Absolutely.
I always take it as just being super friendly, but I love that part of it.
Well, a lot of my people are like when they're on the front of the boat and I'm waving.
I wave to everybody.
And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like,
do you know them?
No, we don't know. We just wave up. And by the end of the trip, everybody's like,
it's my favorite part.
Yeah.
It's almost like the thing where you drive a Jeep or drive a motorcycle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody wait.
That's right.
You drive a Jeep, you're going to wave to
It's
the
like
Jeep.
a gang thing, like an unspoken code. Or
I think vet owners do it too. If you drive a Corvette,
you just wave to each other. Yeah. And if somebody doesn't wave back, I'm always over there behind I'm like, oh, okay. I got you. Okay, for sure. You must be from out of town.
That was my question I was going to ask. What is most of y'all's calls? Is it sporadic driving? Is it just safety checks, or just being at the dock at the right time, knowing that those incidents are going to happen?
Man, we get very few calls regarding saying, hey, this person's doing this or this person's doing that. If those calls are generated, it's typically on land. Let's say it's a sandbar somewhere like Cricket Island or Deer Island or out at Horn or something like that. Loud music, vulgar music. I got kids in the water.
Yeah.
They're not even, that's profanity in a public place. It's basically, you can't do that. So we pay attention to those kind of things. Usually those are the calls that are coming in, not, hey, this guy did this guy's driving crazy or whatever. We don't get too many of those calls. Usually if it's a disorderly type thing or negligent type thing, it's something that's happening on land at one of the bars that people hang out at.
Okay.
Or the boat launch, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I bet that boat launch is a
boat launch is it can be two things. One is better than a comedy club.
Yeah, that's no lie.
And the other thing, if you want to watch a fight break out, go to a boat launch or go to a hockey match.
Okay. We need to probably get back to that in a little bit. We can see if we can get like a best story of a boat launch story. We can get one of those in a minute.
That's not gonna be good.
Yeah. What I'm kind of progressing in my head. So we talked about all the things, the checklist before we go out on the water. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I hardcore struggle with is keeping that wristband on.
Yeah.
Right. The kill switch wristband. Can we talk about that and the importance of it?
So what's the length on your vessel?
24. Yeah.
Okay. So you would be under the new regs, Coast Guard regs. You wouldn't be a covered vessel. So you would need to wear your ignition kill switch
at all times. Yeah. I have it, and I do. I make myself wear it, but it feels a little awkward. I'm trying to get used to it. Just being honest, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, and I've worn the reg. Tell you, it's a new. You said
it was passed. I think it was 3 years ago.
Okay.
So for the first year, our enforcement actions weren't to issue citations or anything else. It was to educate the people on it. Right. The following year, we would use it as a basically like a probable cause stop. All right, we see somebody not wearing it. That gives me permission to go over there and educate them, and of course, talk to them, find out what their level of intoxication is, if any. If any, right? Okay, and do a boat water safety check.
Right.
Last year, we started enforcing it. If we saw you without it, it'd be just like not wearing your seatbelt.
Okay.
It is hard to get used to. I've cussed so many times in public, having mine hooked to me and
you turned it off.
Listen, I'm driving up, fixing the board. Somebody, hey, how y'all doing today? Yep. Hey, I'm just going to come alongside you, and I step out dead water, and I'm like, oh. And then I got to stop, catch their boat, catch my boat.
They're like, see, I told you, told you.
But once you get used to it, it's just like anything else.
It is.
You just got to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And what's the length now? You said a new standard
26 foot and less.
26
you have to have it on.
The only exemption for that is if you're in a cabin boat. That 26 foot or less has an enclosed cabin.
Okay.
So
you have to pilot from the enclosed cabin, or it just has to have one?
No, you got a pilot from the enclosed cabin.
Okay.
It can't be like a below deck or anything like that. You'll be able to. The helm's got to be inside a closed area.
Okay.
So those wouldn't be covered.
And those are, key, because like you mentioned, there's been 2 incidents or accidents in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Last 2 weeks.
And 1 or 2 of them could have been avoided with a kill switch, right?
Absolutely, 100%. The first one we're not real sure of because we're not convinced if whether an object was struck prior to or if it was in a medical situation, and then the vessel collided with something. That's still under investigation. We'll figure all those things out eventually. We have a very good criminal investigation division who basically recreates everything. They can dissect these vessels down to
Yeah,
very good.
And if you've never seen a video of somebody that's usually the person's already been ejected from the boat when you see the recording, but it's like, the boat typically like naturally just does a circle, right?
Yep.
Hopefully, I guess, but it can go all kind of crazy ways, hit docks, hit other boats, go into areas where there's people swimming. It's just a bad situation where a kill switch would easily avoid. And not to mention, if you're the person that got thrown out of the boat, now if you're not unconscious,
now you got to dodge a motor.
You got to dodge a boat and a motor, and that's not easy to do by any means.
And so much of what we do, or so much what the public does, is based on what they see on TV. Just like every person I stop is a lawyer because they've watched criminal law for the last 6 weeks.
Now it's the internet and the YouTube and all that. Oh, I know my rights. It's like, okay, buddy.
And the other part of that is that they've watched Tom Cruise do it so many times on Mission Impossible. All you got to do is think, I can go in the water and push the boat off of it. It don't happen.
No. As you get chewed up.
Or I'll swim alongside it and grab a hold and pull myself in.
No. Not happening.
Most people can't self-rescue because they don't have the body strength to do it. And you add in the stress factors of your life being in peril, the anxiety that's associated with that, your adrenaline levels are up. Most people don't understand. You've got maybe 1, possibly 2 shots at pulling your body weight either up and over something. And you've got to be successful in that first attempt or second attempt. After that, you've exerted so much energy either getting away from the vessel or getting to the vessel that you're not going to have the strength to do what they think you can do. So it's water is very, very humbling.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Right.
Without a doubt.
And with it now, the kill switches, they make it to where they clip on your life jacket. They make wristbands.
They make magnetic ones now.
I saw that.
It's all kind of breakaways.
Do they make one that is connected to the life vest, that when the water touches the life vest, it stops the boat?
There's
like
all kind of
or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I felt like I saw that.
I don't know about that, but I know
it's fancy.
But if the water's going to hit the vest, you're going to be off the boat. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. So in other words, there's no tether physically, but if I fall off and water hits this sensor, it's going to send a signal to that boat to kill it.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
The one he's actually talking about will measure if you fall down too. So if you were slung down into the bottom of the boat and you're no longer in an upright position, it'll kill it as well.
Okay.
So those are pricey.
Yes.
But, it was. You don't have to think about it, and it's just something.
Well, and you can walk from the front of the boat to the back. That's really the pain, is not being able to move how you need to be in the boat. That's kind of the trade-off, but but it's necessary. So we covered that. Nobody wants to be in a situation where the boat's circling around them or
and that's the situation you were talking about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. That's dangerous for y'all too.
Yeah. Is there any? Stay away, of course. Is there any tips that you can give in that situation besides just get as far away as possible?
The boat, right? Get away from it.
Get away from it. Unless it's your life that's in imminent danger if you don't take action, all right? Which means putting your boat between it and your family or something like that. But entering the water, trying to stop it physically, manually, or anything like that, bad all the way around.
Yeah.
You're going to lose. 99.9% of the time, you're going to lose that battle.
Yeah.
Because that's a mechanical device that's just not going to wear out.
Right.
And I don't care if it's a 15 horsepower, 25 horsepower, or 150.
Until it runs out of gas.
And if you've never seen a picture of a person that's been chewed up by a prop, I'm not saying go look it up.
It's not good.
But it is not good. I've seen some stuff. Not it's pictures, not in real life.
The incident you're referring to, the person that was injured the most out of that accident was a Good Samaritan who actually was coming down the river, saw the vessel circling. He didn't see anybody in it, but he thought that he saw a body inside the circling area of the vessel. And his first instinct was to get in the water and try to stop the boat. Turned out to be just a log that was inside there, and the boat chewed him to pieces. Now he's good. He's going to make a full recovery. A lot of stitches. Great war story for him.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to tell his grandkids. I don't know if he fought a shark or what, but he's going to have a story.
What was the size of the vessel that was unmanned?
That was a 16 foot, 17 foot.
That's right.
It's a small John boat.
Right. And you think aluminum? You can get it right now okay. So he thought there was a person he was trying to save. So kudos to him. Good Samaritan. In hindsight, even if that would have been a person, he would have been better off to use his boat, correct? To try to block it if he could.
If he wanted to damage his boat, absolutely, 100%, he could use his boat.
Yeah.
Don't ever get in the water.
No.
Yeah. So another thing about a drowning, not to say that you shouldn't try to do as much life-saving measures as you can if you come across someone who's drowned. But if you are at that point where you see somebody that is floating, okay, that's usually not a very good sign. You're not going to bring that person back pretty quickly.
Right.
And as warm as our water is down here, and I say the cleanliness or lack thereof, it's not a good thing unless you can get within 45 seconds, minute and a half in the summertime. Yeah, it's not.
And you damn near have to see them go in the water to know that you can save them.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you shouldn't try to pull them out or get them. But I think we might have mentioned this the last time you was on the show here. If you've never jumped off of your boat, and I'm not saying do this, don't do it at all. But if you've ever jumped off your boat and tried to swim back, it is not easy, even if you're in shape. And if the current's moving, which you may not know, you may not see it.
Yeah,
you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
Donezo. You're not coming back to the boat.
You got a big boat, so your boat's not going to move with the wind too much. But you take something light like a John boat or even a kayak. Kayaks are the worst.
Okay, I didn't think about
they're
kayaks.
Very light. If you're not wearing your life vest, you go in the water, and let's say there's a 7, 8, 9 mile an hour wind. That boat's probably going to move across that water with the wind at 8, 9, 10 mile an hour, whatever the wind speed is. There's very little drag in the water. It's light. The wind can move it just like it'd move a paper bag across there.
Right.
I don't know many people that can swim.
You ain't Michael Phelps.
No.
You ain't getting that. It ain't coming back.
So, their first attempts to try and catch it, they can't catch it. Panic sets in. They look back at land. They look back to here. And then they start to really freak out, and then that's when your body starts kind of shutting down.
Yep.
You lose your ability to control yourself, and your heart rate's just spiked above 150, 160, and it just starts to break down real fast.
Can't do anything about it.
I mean, I could tell you probably 90% of the people that I've had to tell the family, hey, we made a recovery. They'll tell you, no, that's not mine. Mine's good in the water. Mine's the best swimmer out there. Been swimming his whole life. Been around water his whole life. Blah blah blah. So the old Moneyball here. If he's such a good hitter, why don't you hit good?
Right.
If you're such a good swimmer, why don't you swim good? There's factors that come into play.
Factors, yeah. They could have been knocked unconscious before they ever hit the water.
A lot of them.
Well, everybody's a good swimmer in a swimming pool, but when you put a 20 mile an hour wind and a 5 mile an hour current, good luck.
That's right.
Yeah.
And stress on top of that.
Well, we talked about boat. Kayaks a little different safety wise. Can you jump into the kayaks and unmotored? I guess what you call it.
So basically, a kayak is just a personal flotation device for you. You don't even have to wear it. You just have to have it readily accessible. If you're going to be in that kayak at night, you do have to have a white 360 light. It could be a flashlight, could be anything, so someone doesn't hit you.
But it's got to stay on at all times?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if you're going to be, trout fishing or red fishing in the evening time and in the bayous and things like that, you got to have that a white light on you at all times. You don't have to have the red and green, but you do have to have the white light.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a life vest is the only thing that's required for them.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier, this is personal for you. This is what got you into this, to law enforcement?
Yeah. So Memorial Day weekend of 1997, my family and I, we lived in Mobile. I had a son and my daughter, who was 3 at the time. Had a 16-foot Glastron bass boat. We were going to go over the Dog River. Yeah. Old boat. We was going over in the Dog River, and we were just going to go maybe 3-4 bends up to a sandbar up there and just have, the Hallmark picnic. Okay.
Right.
And we were, I did not have a life vest on, did not have a kill switch on, wasn't required at the time. My wife didn't have one on. My son did. And my daughter had her life vest on. She was sitting beside me here. My son was up on the bow, and my wife was laying on the back deck getting
sunbathing.
Yep.
Yeah. Great day, right?
Yep.
That's what it is.
I was just basically idling up, so I was very low in the water. The boat was brown, and I come around this corner, and I see a boat coming right at me. It's a big boat, 26-foot deep V. He's coming right at me, and I'm like, oh my God, he doesn't see me. So I make an evasive action. I couldn't turn any more to the right. I just made a little bit of an action and turned back so that he could see me, see my bow like that. He never saw me. He kept coming.
Wow.
So and then I just remember saying to myself, I can't believe how fast this is happening.
Yeah.
So I had maybe just a couple seconds to make 1 or 2 moves. And my last ditch effort was to turn hard to the right and I just floored it to get my bow up because I didn't want him coming over me. That was the only thing I think. I don't know if it was the right thing to do at that particular time, but I did hit the bow, threw my son, threw my daughter. Through my wife, and threw my daughter down and fractured her skull, crushed her collarbone. The son was ejected, but just minor scrapes. The wife, I don't know if she was injured. She was just freaking out.
Oh yeah.
Great swimmer, but for some reason she couldn't swim that day.
Oh, for sure.
So the daughter having a fractured skull, obviously that's going to make her, she was drooling. She was incoherent.
Oh yeah.
And so I just grabbed her, jumped out of the boat, started, because the boat was going down too. I started swimming. And I just remember putting her on the dock and turning back and going to him and getting him and bringing him. And of course, by that time, he's starting to, okay, I got it, Dad.
He's coming back to life.
He's swimming, and I go back towards the wife, and of course, the wife's coming. People are coming down off the pier or off the land and rendering assistance. All right. So the moral of this story is that Good Samaritans took us to the hospital and everything. But the guy that was on the boat when I hit him, he was so close to me as his boat was sitting there and my boat was going down that I could smell alcohol.
Wow.
I could smell it. And I was so worried about my daughter.
Yes.
That I didn't want to kill him then. I knew I'd have a chance.
Yeah,
so when I got to the hospital, I told, of course, the game warden or DNR for Alabama, whoever it was at that time. I came there, and the first thing I said, I want to do a blood test. I want to do whatever it is to prove I hadn't been drinking, because he was drunk. All right. I think I used another word.
Right.
And he says, well, we can't do that. He said, if you want to volunteer, that's fine. He said, but I can't make him do it because there was no physical evidence of alcohol in the boat. I said, did you talk to him? He said, yeah, but he seemed all right. And this is like, by the time the game warden gets there, he's like 4 hours later.
Yeah.
Damn.
So come to find out, this is how we think about boats and how we think about vehicles. And this is what I want people to take away from this. The guy was at a party, was up on the house. The house was up on the river. They were partying. They're having a good time. Nothing wrong with that. His girlfriend calls him and says, hey, I don't know where I'm at. I'm lost. He says, well, what's around you? She goes, I don't know, a bunch of cars with trucks with boats. He goes, oh, you're at the boat launch. She goes, I guess. And he starts telling her how to get there. And she's like, I've already tried that. I don't know where I'm at. Mm-hmm. He said, I'll come down there and get you. Grabs the keys, starts to walk out, and people stop him. You can't drive, man.
Yeah.
You're wasted, dude. You can't drive. Take the boat. Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, they said take the boat.
Wow.
The mentality was, I can't drive a vehicle, but I can take that boat.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. When we go out on the weekend, if let's say we're going to take the top off the Jeep and cruise through Ocean Springs, we don't tell ourselves, okay, let's load the Yeti down with 2 cases of beer.
Right.
All right, let's just go enjoy that. No, you don't. But when you go do your boat, it's like, okay, let's load the ice chest down. We got 2 cases of beer. We got a little bit of vodka. We got a little bit of bourbon. We're going to spend the day at the island. It won't be no big deal.
Yeah.
So the switch, that switch has to be activated for both vehicle and vessel. If you don't think you could pass in front of the state trooper and not go to jail in a vehicle, then you need to apply the same rule with a boat.
Yeah. And it's even worse on a boat, I feel like.
There's just so many more factors.
No breaks. There's nothing that goes on. Like we give a test. Like I say this all the time. We give a test for driving tests, all this stuff like that. Boating, we do a little, but we don't ever put anybody in there to drive a boat. So you can just literally have your license at 16 now.
12, no.
12.
Yeah, because Jaden's got his, and he's not 16. He's had it for a couple years.
So 12 and under, you got to have a 21 and older in a boat with you who has a boat and water safety car. But after that, you pass the boat and water safety course. After 12, you can drive a
12. Yeah. And there's no size restrictions on that, right?
There's no weight limit or anything else, no height or weight limit. So you can literally on spring break see 13, 14-year-olds operating personal watercraft to go 70 plus mile an hour.
Yeah, that's a little wild there.
I've done it. I remember taking my grandpa's little skiff, 14-foot skiff up the bay, and we were 10, 12 years old. Tiller motor.
Yeah, and that's the we had we have it the talking about being on a ship, Horn Island for 2 weeks at a time and staying out there back in the 80s and stuff. We had, but it's like, things were different back then, and that's good. And I want kids, even for my son, like I tell him all the time, like, son, you're licensed to be able to drive a boat. I want to see you get better at doing that. I think kids should have more responsibility, but it's a little different than it was in 1983, 1997, 2002. It's just more crowded. There's more traffic. There's more. We led with that in this podcast. So you got to be more aware and you got to be more trained, but you got to understand, what's out there, the level of risk you're involved in, the what a 250 or 150 will do on the back of a boat, right? It's not. It's high stakes.
Yeah. So the other thing, I mean, I will say this: when I first started in law enforcement, my first year, I think I wrote 17 boating under influence citations. And at that particular time, that was more BUI citations than had been written in the entire history of the DMR since its existence in 1999.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't as obvious. Through education, through situations like your show and all the boating places around the country who are putting an emphasis on safety, learning to drive a vessel, using a boat and water safety course, making sure this is in place, making sure that's in place. It has gotten better. Every year we have a 3-day period called Operation Dry Water, and that's in conjunction with all other state, local, federal officials. It's nationwide. It's usually around the July 4th weekend.
Yeah, I was about to say it's usually around 4th of July.
And that's when we actually target, trying to remove intoxicated or impaired operators off the water. And we do that through, obviously stepping up enforcement. We also do it through education, putting pamphlets out, putting media out there to, educate the people. And this is what we're looking for. Last year during Operation Dry Water, we still set a record for arrest.
Oh, I believe it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But I will say I had more people last year that had a designated boat operator. It could be even their kid. Their 15-year-old kid is the one that's driving them home. I had more of them. As soon as we stopped, I'd be asking the questions and they'd be like, no, he's my DD today.
Sweet.
Yeah. And it was just clockwork. And I was like, man, this is working, because at the end of the day, we don't want to write the citation. We don't want to make the arrest. That's just a lot of work. And you're removing someone's freedoms at that time when you make an arrest. We'd much rather have compliance from the start.
Yeah.
So, and when it comes to compliance, most of the time that comes from the operator of the vessel very easily. It's everybody else that's on the boat that usually talks themselves into something.
Yeah.
Everybody just watch Law and Order.
But 4th of July is the peak. I mean, that's the hot spot. Yeah. And, boating by itself is not very easy. You got to launch the boat. You got to have all this stuff going on, wind, current. And now when you throw 300, 400, 500 up boats going out at the same time, then it just causes chaos.
We talked about wisdom earlier. On those weekends now, I really don't go.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy picking up the boat. I don't enjoy being at the dock. I don't enjoy any of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. I'm not to say you won't ever see me out there. But for the most part,
the river is worse. The river's terrible.
Now, the incident that you shared, was that in the river, did you say?
It was in East River.
Okay.
East Pascagoula River.
Yeah. I don't feel comfortable. I don't like that vibe. And it's a beautiful place. All rivers, my dad lives on Chutica Bluff now. I don't know. It's too confined. There's too many people doing crazy things.
Well, you think about it too. I mean, y'all know how the Pascagoula rises and falls around here. So rainfall up north of that's going to dictate what happens actually down here. So we had a lot of rain the previous week. That accident we were talking about. So river levels were up. The water clarity was much darker.
Yeah.
And when the river rises up north and floods the banks, well, when it recedes, what's it pulling off the banks? It's pulling every log and floating stick and stumps and everything else. Place. So there's a lot of submerged objects in those rivers when the river is falling that are just below the surface that you don't see. And, tiller handle boats, you hit something like that, the motor snatches out of your hand, kicks hard to one side, and you're out.
That's right.
It's just that fast.
That's right. How do you mentioned DDs and people having DDs on a boat, younger, even sometimes they're kids. How do you prove that that's a licensed person that can operate a boat? Is it simply the card that we get?
Absolutely. Boat and water safety card. And that's on file with the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. through our active work system. I can easily just call and verify that this person here is his age, is
Okay.
his kid.
So it's just like a driver's license.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
hand it
You're
to you.
required to have it on you. Just like a driver's license, you're required to have it. Can I run the information? Absolutely.
Okay.
I hate it when I ask somebody for something and it's like, I don't have it, but you can run it.
You're like,
yes,
thanks.
I understand what my job is. I know I can.
Thank you for telling me, sir. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
But
Yeah.
you're supposed to have it on you.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
It is like a
Yeah.
license. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, most of the kids, man, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, they're happy to show you that.
Oh yeah, it's
like
a badge of honor.
They're proud.
Yes. Yeah. It's freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And y'all are offering free classes this
Absolutely.
summer because my daughter and my wife have already signed up. Actually, my wife took it in high school,
Mhm.
which y'all offer a lot of that too with the high school, especially at Dyersville. They do hunter safety, boater safety the same way.
Yeah.
But y'all are giving free
Yeah.
motor safety classes this summer.
So on, at our website, dmr.ms.gov, you go on there under events and scroll down to our boat and water safety classes. And there's a full schedule right there. And there's a link that you can click on and actually bring you to that class and you can sign up for it right
Okay.
there online and you're done. It's a free class. It's a 1-day course. So, 8 to 10 hours and you're in and out. We give you a lunch break and make it entertaining and educational. And
Yeah.
you walk out with your boat and water safety card.
That's in person, obviously, right?
It is
Okay,
100%.
okay.
And like I say, most of it is really the younger generation is the kids. But the great thing is that, the parents want to go sharing that with them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anybody born after June 30th, 1980 has to have that boat and water
Right.
safety card anyway. But, I see grandparents in there that that not required to have that, but want to go sit with their grandson or
Oh,
granddaughter,
absolutely.
Yeah.
and it's
I
just-
think it should be a refresher anyways.
Do you
for
know when they're
everybody.
doing that, Joey? Do you know when the
It's,
class is?
there's like-
it's June something that they're on the schedule.
there's like 6 or 7 more classes this year.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a pile
Okay.
of them. It just runs down. It's like it skips. I think it's every other week.
Yeah.
And some of them are in Biloxi, some of them are in Pascagoula, some of them are in. It skips around. But
Yeah.
this one's in Biloxi.
Some over at the college. We move it around so
Yeah.
make it convenient for everybody. 3
Okay.
coastal counties that we have down here, so we try to move it around for
Yeah.
Even if you haven't been on the boat for a while, or you've gotten your boater safety license, you're fixing to buy a boat. It's still better to go back in and get refreshed. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no
Everybody
doubt.
needs a
Yeah,
refresher.
yeah, absolutely. Especially if you haven't, like you said, you've been out of it for a while. You haven't
Right.
piloted a vessel in a while. It's a big to do. What were some of the other things we were talking about before we went live? I don't feel like we touched on all the topics that we wanted to
I
cover.
think we was talking about towing.
Yes,
some of the
Oh,
towing.
yeah,
that's
yeah,
it. That's
yeah,
it. That's
yeah,
it. I knew there was that.
So, one of the things we see is I have some friends that live on Fort Bayou.
Right.
And man, I'll be over at their house and I'll see a boat come by. They're clipping around 30, 35 mile an hour pulling a skier.
Yeah.
Or pulling somebody on a
Mm,
tube.
Yeah.
Or something
Another
like that.
dangerous thing.
And listen, that bayou's only, I think, 150 feet wide. Some places are actually less than that. And most ski ropes, if you just went to a store, West Marine, something like that, and you bought a ski rope, that ski rope's 75 foot long.
Do the math.
Math
baby.
ain't mathing.
Do the math.
The math
Do the math.
doesn't add up.
Yeah.
But they're flying. And they're coming around blind corners. I mean, if you've ever been in Fort Bayou, you know that every turn in that thing is just about a
Yeah.
blind corner.
That's what-
And they just, I see them go by and I'm like, I don't even know what they're thinking.
Right.
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 And unfortunately, usually an accident from that, you don't recover. from.
Correct.
Oh, no.
Correct.
Being slung into a pylon, into a bank, or into another boat,
Yeah.
30, 35 mile an hour, and you come to an immediate stop,
You're unconscious. You're drowning.
you're something
Yeah.
bad's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Those aren't just minor incidents.
Right.
So if you're gonna tow or ski or anything like that, please get an open body of water. Try to stay away from traffic. I know you can't do it always, but try to get into an open body of water. And also, legal sunset, legal sunrise apply to that. You can't pull or tow anything like that prior to legal sunrise and after legal sunset.
Now, when you say like that, do you mean a person
Mhm.
on a tube, ski,
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what about, were y'all talking before we started rolling here about towing boats? Did we talk about that?
They say
We
just
have-
don't do it.
I'm gonna get on that, but
Okay.
hold on. I have my question.
Go ahead. You
Gosh,
pull it
dang
back.
It used to be you required a spotter if
Yeah.
you were in your boat
Yes.
and you were pulled a tube.
Yes.
Is that still the
Yes.
law?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So here's something to think
Even
about.
if you have a mirror, like how they have
Yeah,
the big-
180-degree mirror.
Yeah,
doesn't-
yeah.
You have to have a statement if it's 10 years or older. Someone has to be 10 years or older to spot before
Okay.
you're watching, before you
Okay.
And
face it.
explain what that is, because a lot of people probably don't know.
So you have one operator,
Yeah.
and you have at least one other person on the vessel who is primary.
Mhm.
His or her job is to watch the person being towed, to notify that person they're off, they fail,
Right.
or something like that. It's also to watch for any other traffic that may be coming out there. Okay. So he's driving the boat. He may not see a boat that's coming at him in a crossing situation. That person's job is to, stand up and make some type of gesture to get that person to notice them, to say, hey, okay, I see a skier back there. Because like I said, they're 75 foot behind the boat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was actually something that went viral. Not too long ago.
That kid was in my class. They were coming up from Grasshopper.
Yep.
And they were pulling on a party barge, and a boat went on a tube.
They had a brown water hat on.
Yeah, it's
right?
the guy who was in my
He had a brown water Pelican. Was in the video. It was on the captain qualified captain on Instagram. Yeah. That was scary.
Oh, 100%.
That was bad. Yes.
God didn't want that person to go.
Yes.
They had 3 kids on the back.
Yeah.
And he went right over the dang line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right
Bad
over.
news. Bad news.
So I mean, there was so many scenarios that could have happened. So, but getting back to the spotter. So if your vessel's pulling a boat like that, I mean, pulling a skier or someone on an aquaplane tube or anything like that, you got to have someone 10 years and older watching that person at all times. Now, here's the thing where people think about: they got a 3-seater jet ski.
Yeah.
All right. You got 2 people on the tube, 1 person driving, or even worse, you got 4 or 3 people back there on the tube, and it's only a 2-person jet ski. All right, that puts that if that person had to self-rescue everybody out there, that's going to overload the capacity of that jet ski.
Okay.
He could not safely do that.
That makes sense.
So that is going to be a negligent operation because he is towing over the limit of the capacity of that vessel.
Okay.
I never thought about that.
I never thought about that.
So a
either.
jet ski cannot have 1 person on it. A personal watercraft cannot have 1 person on it and 2 people in the back. You got to have at least 2 people on the ski, 1 driving, 1 looking backwards, and then whoever's on the tube.
So that's 3 people right there.
And then whatever that total number is has to be the capacity of that ski.
Wow.
Is there more than a 3-person jet ski?
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah,
there
that's
is.
what I'm
They
Okay.
make that big fishing one. It's gigantic. It's almost like a party barge.
Okay.
Well, they do make the little jet ski party barges too.
Well,
I guess that fall under something else.
Yamaha makes one. It's a it's a boat, but it has an impeller style system. But yeah, that's why I never thought about that. That's a good one. Never thought about that.
Well, let's get into the towing because we talked about. I've been in sea school, and they literally tell you, do not tow another boat if you find somebody. And that sounds kind of weird.
It does.
But most of the vessels around here are not equipped to actually tow somebody and do not have the equipment to actually tow somebody right.
That's correct. And a lot of people call us for a tow. All right. We're not a tow service.
Right.
So
y'all be busy all day long, every day doing that.
Absolutely. So you can almost hear the disgust over the phone when they're calling. They're saying, hey, just, I ran out of gas. Can you come get me? I'm just right here. We just don't do it.
Liability is too much. I get it.
It's way too much. Like you say, we're not properly equipped to do that. There's always can be damage to the boat. So not saying that don't call us if you're stranded or something like that, because we'll come get you. But you're going to put that boat on anchor and you can come back and get it later, or go back and get some fuel or whatever, and have another boat come back out there and tow that boat back in, or you call sea tow. But we will take control of the vessel, put it on anchor, put on moored up, and then take people off the boat. The only time it would change is if there was an approaching weather situation or an inclement weather situation where leaving you there or leaving that boat there would endanger the lives of others. Then we have to take action and make sure all parties get back in. Other than that, it's not going to happen. We're going to remove you from the boat. If you call me out there and then say, oh, well, I changed my mind, I'm going to stay out here. Okay. Just think about, at the end of the day, we service at the taxpayer dollar.
Right.
Wasting resources. So, and then we'll make the determination too. A lot of times, especially if it's, let's say it's a cold front or in the wintertime, and someone says, well, I've changed my mind, I'm going to stay with the boat. We may look at it and say, you got any water?
Good idea.
How are you going to keep warm? Nope, you're coming with us.
Okay.
And at that point, I'm going to tell you, you're coming with us.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me ask you though, because this goes back to like earlier we were talking about like waving at everybody. It's kind of one of the things that's part of the culture down here. I love that aspect of it. But when it comes to towing, break it down a little more specific for me. Like, because I've been towed before. I've towed other people in. What do you need to have to adequately tow somebody? Can you explain that better for us?
Diameter, strength of rope or line.
Okay.
Actually, that you're going to be towing for. we see that most of the time the line is not in good condition. So once it goes under pressure, under strain, it snaps.
Yeah.
When
It's
that
coming
snaps
back.
it's coming back.
Yeah.
So there's risk of injury involved there. Most people have a difficulty driving their own vessel, much less pulling something else. So coming into the docking
Especially
area,
harbor,
coming into the docking
that's
area,
for
they're not going to know how to do it. If you're going to do a side tow or a hip tow or something like that, then you're going to need large fenders to keep the two vessels off, and you got to be able to pull them tight enough so that both vessels move at the same thing instead of this kind of situation here. If I'm towing and I'm looking, everything's looking great. I got 3 people back there, mom, dad, and little kid. And what does everybody want to do? They want to hang their hands off and do whatever. And, just something as simple as somebody putting their arm over and, the boat's coming to different things, and I've broken arm and I'm liable. As soon as I take possession of that, hook a line to you, I'm liable for everything.
Oh, that's the takeaway.
Well,
that's the takeaway statement right there.
And most people tie it to cleats. Like, you think our cleats are good enough to tow.
Yeah.
Like, that's not. You can't do that. Like, the sea tow has a mounted metal post that's just for towing, and your little bitty clamp's not going to be able to hold all that pressure.
What about the eye bolts on the back of the boat? Yeah. No,
that's for you to be towed.
That's
that's for you to be towed. So you're towing somebody. Of course, you have to bridle it around the motor. But like you said, if that boat goes under and you're tied to it, that's on you.
Yeah. Most people don't even know how to tie a bridle either. So it's always going to be you're going to pulling against, and it just creates a situation. Not saying don't render help.
Correct.
Don't render aid.
Correct.
But you also got to be smart and prudent about it as well.
So what do we do? Do we call y'all first? Do we call CETO first? How do we do it? They're not sponsoring this podcast, by the way, but they should.
Towboat USA is
I was going to say Towboat USA.
Let's get in the bidding war, baby. Who wants it first? Who wants it first?
US Boat and CETO are the 3 that we
Seth or Conrad. Y'all give us a call right
Somebody
now.
give us some money and we'll stop talking about the other one.
So my advice is, if I would use one of those three things. If you're in a situation where, okay, I've got to get my family off this thing. We've had situations where vessels get swamped out at Horn Island.
Right.
The husband will be, the wife's starting to get cold. The kids have been out in the water all day. They're starting to get chilly. They can't hold body heat like us. And let's just say whatever time of year it is, it's not 1,000 degrees. And he's going to say, I want my family back home. Absolutely call us. Hey, listen, I'll get CETO back out here, but I need somebody to come get my family right now. We got the storm coming in. Nightfall's coming. It's not a safe situation. We're coming. We'll come get you.
Okay.
Yeah. Coast Guard does that too, because like we were wading at Chandelier, dead battery. Of course, I was just gonna call the Coast Guard. Coast Guard was like, "Are y'all in any kind of danger right now?"
Not really.
He was like, "All right, we'll see y'all in the morning, man.
Let us know if it gets bad overnight.
Y'all have fun.
Yeah, we'll call and check on you in the morning."
Yeah, and we had to go all the way to the Pelican and
I remember hearing
duck waders. Dude, I had rings all the way around my cast. We walked so far, but if it's not life threatening and you break down just because of dead battery or something like that, that's the only option. Is CETO or Towboat USA, or have a good friend that trusts you to come out there and get you.
Yeah. So I think to wrap it all up here, it's like, do your checklist to begin with, right? Make sure you have all the safety equipment on the boat that you need just to pass inspection, more or less, right?
I got 2 more.
Okay. I mentioned earlier about the checklist that I went through. Full disclosure, like I went and re-upped my CETO membership. That was like the first time out in 6 months. I was like, it went inactive a couple months ago. Boom, I'm paying for it because it's peace of mind.
Absolutely,
it's very much peace of mind,
and it's very affordable.
It is.
It's
it really
so affordable.
Is. It really is.
All of them are. All of them are very affordable.
Yeah, and like you said, Seth, like I told him one time at a boat show or somewhere I saw him, I said, you're one of the only people that I want to pay money to and hope I never see you, never call you, and just give you my money. So but go ahead.
We brought up the VHF, UHF radios, the SSID. Are you familiar? The button you can press.
Yes.
The thing that you can buy through Towboat USA that actually gives you, like, when you hit the button, it gives a SOS and it tells you the make of the vessel, who's on the vessel, and stuff like that. Are you familiar with those things?
Somewhat, yeah.
The reason I know what he's talking about is because I just got upgraded my UHF, and like you said, I think Towboat USA does that service for you for free. It's almost like it's a social security number or a truck ID number or a boat hull ID number to that radio, right? And you register with them. So when you hit that number,
when you hit that red button, that man overboard or SOS or whatever button it is, it's going to automatically tell you, I got a Blazer Bay, 2170, Black Stripe, Joey Cates.
Emergency contact number.
The key is there. The data out is only as good as the data in. Most people buy these things and never register it.
I did fill my information out, and I
never put it in there.
Yeah.
Not to say it still won't send a signal and the GPS coordinates to where you're at, but
Right.
for other information you're talking about, they won't. Like the EPIRBs and stuff,
Mhm.
you need to register them. You need to put in there.
Yeah, the
all
beacon registration. Did you register yours?
I did not.
There you go.
I'm being honest with the audience.
When you
I
go
know.
to
I'm being
beacon
honest with the
registration, they give you
Yep.
the sticker, they give you all that stuff. You fill out the same thing, emergency contact, who's the most likely to be on the boat, where are you going to go, Gulf of Mexico, stuff like that.
Yep.
So
But
you just go hit
I
it.
did do it on the UHF. I did. I'm supposed to do it on the other one. Haven't done it yet.
All right. Last one. This is a biggie for me.
All right.
No wake zones.
Yes.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah,
That's the
no
one.
wake
Let's cover
zones.
it. Let's cover it.
Y'all control though. DMR control sets those. Who sets those and what are the parameters for that?
Okay, so to establish a no wake zone, there's some that are set by law. All right, and that is basically, I'll give you two big ones. It can't be on a plane. It'll be an idle speed within 100 feet of a public boat launch or public marina. All right, and 100 feet.
Well, let me stop
from-
you real quick.
All right.
That means don't need a sign.
Nope.
Doesn't have to be posted.
Nope.
If it's a marina.
Yep.
you
Public.
okay, not
Public.
private.
Not private.
Okay, public marina, 100 feet off of that.
No wake.
No wake.
Idle
Okay.
speed.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Those are established in law. No sign required. Nothing. It's automatic. The other one is 100 feet within 100 feet of a vessel that is anchored or moored. So I think an example we were talking about earlier, small craft harbor, Deer Island,
Correct.
very narrow body of water. There is an active channel that goes through that body of water. All right.
Okay.
So 100 feet out from the small craft harbor, and then all the vessels that are anchored or moored on the island, you got to be 100 feet away from them. And if you're within those two areas, you got to be idle speed. That only leaves a very narrow sliver of that body of water where you could actually be on plane.
Right.
So that whole area right there
Technically.
is a no wake zone when there's vessels present. Now, if there's no one on the island,
Yeah.
it's 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
There's no one there, and you're heading out to go fishing, and you want to be 100 feet off that wall. You can cut through there as fast as you want.
Okay.
You
So-
brought up the term that I don't remember what it was though. Just knowing that those people are on the boat.
Reasonable and prudent speed for the then existing circumstances is how we determine
Damn.
negligent operation.
Slow that down and say it again.
Yeah.
That was some big ass words. Here we
Yeah.
go. Here we go.
Reasonable and prudent speed for the then existing circumstances.
All right.
All right.
All right.
So it's not prudent for me to approach a group of vessels that are anchored on an island that I know people are in the water, between the boats, behind the boats, kids are swimming at a speed where 30 mile an hour above plane, okay, where I cannot take corrective action fast enough to not endanger someone's life or cause them serious bodily harm.
Okay.
All right.
And-
So I could easily, if I observe that, I can easily say he's acting recklessly or negligently because he cannot make corrective action if he sees a kid jump off the boat, or if a kid was swimming underwater like we've all did, try to
Mhm.
swim as far as we can, and all of a sudden we pop up and we're 50 feet away from our boat, and we pop up in time for him approaching us at 30 mile an hour on plane.
He ain't moving.
He's not going to make it. The
Mhm.
kid's not going to make it.
Mhm.
So it's not reasonable. It's not prudent for the then existing circumstances. Now take that same body of water, same boat, same speed at sunrise when there's no one on that island. It's reasonable and prudent
Okay.
at that time.
That leaves, yeah. So it's black and white's easy to understand, but when you add that in,
Yeah.
you got to really be paying attention.
Gotta pay
and
attention.
it's not as easy to kind of comprehend. I know where you were going with the question. It's a pain in the ass when you're sitting there on
Yes.
Deer Island and people
Oh,
do
yeah.
that to you. It is
Like the other
not
day, we
good.
had a guy who was in his boat pulling a tube, no spotter, nothing, and he's pulling his tube right in front of the small craft harbor. So
back
he's
and
going,
forth.
womp,
Yep.
turn around, womp. So
Well-
all our boats are just getting beat
So-
to absolute
So
death
not
right
defending
there.
that guy because I'd be super pissed if I was there. But
Yeah.
in his mind, he's probably thinking protected by the island, protected by the small
Oh yeah,
craft
and
harbor.
every time
This
he
is
went
the
by, he was
best.
waving at
Yeah.
whoever was on the island.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
if I can find you, you can find
Right.
me right now.
So those situations you do call us. Those are the phone calls that we do like to get. Hey, got a guy here, no spotter. He's doing this. It's around other boats, and we're gonna make every effort to come there. Right. Now we're also a very small agency.
Right,
We cover
right.
3 coastal counties, about 1,200 square miles of waterway.
Mhm.
So on any given day, we're going to have anywhere, including day shift, night shift, a maximum of 8 to 10 officers to cover those
Damn.
3 coastal counties and
Yeah.
1,200
Y'all
square
stretched
miles.
in.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
stretched very
Well,
thin.
y'all rely on, I mean, I guess y'all work together with the Coast Guard and the island guys and any of that stuff.
We do.
Yeah.
Park Service does a very good job for us out there. They help monitor that body of water, those islands. So, I mean, we kind of let them have that, and we will assist them, and they will assist us. in any way
That
they can.
one that's out there, she'll get you.
Wait, who's talking about?
The lady that's out there on Horn Island, you got music loud or you got something like that, she'll get you for sure.
Now, is she on a boat patrol? I don't know.
Yeah. She's
Okay.
on the Parks and Rec boat, the silver and green one.
Okay, I know the one lady that patrols in between Deer Island and like by the Biloxi Yacht Club. Is that the same?
No.
Okay. I know her. I don't
they
know her, but I've seen her.
Yeah, they won't come in that far on us. So,
Okay.
but we work with all those agencies. But not to take anything away, but they have their job, we have our job.
Right,
So
right.
we are going to be the agency that is most proactive and most responsible for this body of water. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we even got into the actual. We went into the law enforcement side, but the fishing side and tickets and stuff like that. Could you jump on that for a little bit before we jump out of here?
I mean,
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm in no hurry. I was just
What
trying
do
to
you-
make sure we everything
being
was
more specific. What do you want?
Well, you're talking about what you should have on the boat, size limits and stuff like that. When you pull somebody over, and you ask to get in their ice chest, what are you looking for and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, if we have probable cause to believe they've been fishing, there's fishing poles on there. We can see, evidence of bait, coolers or whatever. We have the authority to board that vessel and inspect those storage hatches and containers and ice chests. And we're looking at the type of species of fish you have, make sure it's within regulation, limits, sizes, and whether the season's open or not open, depending on if you're offshore or inshore. So those are the kind of things that we're looking for on that. That doesn't happen on every boat. A lot of people, especially on the weekend, are not fishing. They're just
Right.
they're out cruising.
Yeah.
So if there's, I mean, if I stop you and I can look at you and easily tell that you've been fishing, I'm going to ask, to see if you've been fishing. And when I'm doing that, I'm watching body language, I'm watching eye contact, I'm watching your speech, I'm listening to your speech to see if, your answer is deceptive or,
You get nervous.
Yeah.
They said
Just
nervous.
whatever.
There's always a little
I
bit
don't
of
have
nerves
20
and stuff.
snapper underneath
Right,
the console.
right,
I don't have that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
We always make the joke, man. You'd rather have a dead body on the boat than
Hey, did you
a
catch
snapper.
anything? Catch anything, Dad? I didn't catch a thing.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a dead body in this head. I would much rather you look at over there. Don't look at that snapper fillet
Yeah,
that's over
that's
there.
right.
Please don't look at that one.
Why are all those scales back there?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't get a fish.
I don't know.
Yeah, I cut my toe early.
Yeah.
But I had that early. I mean, I ran a island trip Friday, and DMR agent walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, y'all catch anything?" I was like, "Dude, I only have a pole on the boat." And he was like, "All right, you have a good day." You know what I'm saying? So you just handled it that quick.
Well, the
You
last
just-
snapper trip we went on, the one I was talking about when we rolled the wave, they hit us at the dock immediately.
Yeah.
And then they did the science part of it, right? They
Right.
checked all the bones of the, if I remember, by the jaw
cut
bones
'em out.
for the snapper. And then was that still DMR? Who was the lady that got on the boat? She was police, wasn't she? I can't remember.
I can't. Yeah, she had a vest. On.
Yeah,
Like, she
yeah,
had a
That's
vest.
us. That's
Yeah,
us.
that
was
might have been
y'all?
y'all,
Okay, yeah.
So she checked us and said, blah, 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 blah. She wanted to make sure that we weren't drinking or had enough life check and stuff. And then when we pulled up, the
No, because she went into the cooler. I think it was while you were getting the truck.
oh maybe
Yeah, no. She was like, "Do you mind if I look?" I'm like, "Absolutely, absolutely. Check it out." And she opened it up, counted them real quick. Just, it was.
And then when we pulled it up, the guy was like, "Hey, can I look at your fish?"
yes,
And then we
So
threw
there's
them out there.
there's two sides of that. I
Yeah.
don't know if y'all remember, the law enforcement side of it. We have a duty to check your tails and scales confirmation number.
yes, she did that.
Make sure
yes.
that's there.
And
Make sure-
the ROLP. What's it called?
Yeah,
now? The
I
landing permit.
got to.
Landing
Hey,
permit.
speaking of that, hit it real quick because we ain't mentioned that on the show yet.
offshore landing permit.
Yeah.
No, I mean this year. I mean we got to renew that. People
Yeah,
gotta
it's
renew
on the app too. Brown Water app. It's a link right to
Yeah,
it. All
I
you
gotta
do is
renew
put it in
mine.
there.
Yeah. But there's also the biology side of it with the DMR.
That's what he.
Okay,
they
so
took the bone.
there's 300 and something employees there at the DMR that are biologists, scientists, and stuff like that, and they're doing that type of information gathering. And I know sometimes it's an inconvenience. You're hot, you're tired, you're ready to
Right.
get home, but that's very valuable information that they're collecting, and they're taking a few minutes out of your day. If you could just exercise a little more patience and let those guys do it, it goes a long way. When every year when we're requesting more and more poundage,
That's what people don't realize.
yes, and we're trying to justify why they need to increase our poundage of take that year.
Mhm.
That information that we're getting, that the fishermen are providing us or allowing us to gather, is the information or the ammunition that we use to say, hey, Mississippi residents need this. We need this. And we're always trying to get more and more, utilizing the science.
Mhm.
So
That's exactly right.
I know it's inconvenient, just like the offshore landing permit. That helps us because it takes and narrows down to, I'm just going to throw a hypothetical number out there,
Right.
the 5,000 or 50,000 people have a fishing license. Now it narrows it down to, okay, there's only 1,500 that are targeting this species.
Mhm.
So you can't throw our numbers off on
Yep.
something
It's not
big.
800,000 people in Jackson who come down here once a get a saltwater license.
Right. Everybody fishing a lake or something like that is not the same people that
So I
started.
remember when I first started, the snapper season was 3 days.
Oh yeah.
Back in 2010, it was 3 days long, and it was like a mad dash rush derby to go out there and collect. It wasn't,
and it's terrible weather.
And we've slowly through these scientific processes and asking for these types of things for the Fed side of it not to be overseeing so much of what we do. I mean, now we're looking at snapper seasons 2 months, 3 months, sometimes even 6 months long, based on the poundage that we've gotten. So from 3 days to now 3 months, and it's
getting better.
It's a big improvement. It is.
We excuse me, Joey and I have learned a lot just sitting on this side of the table, talking to Trevor, talking to Spraggins, talking to you, talking to everybody from the DMR that's came on the show and explained this to us. And what we hope is, because we are that guy. We're the recreational guys that are out there, and you hear a new rule or a new license or a new thing, and it's like, damn it, another thing. Like the seasons are short. We can't only catch 2 fish. Louisiana's doing this. It's like it gets frustrating. You get pissed, and it's like, hopefully, if we can do anything with this show, is explain that just a little bit better. And like you said, when it's hot and you're at the dock and you want to go home and you caught your snapper and you're ready to go home and clean them up and everything, it's like, I don't want to spend another 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is. But if we can explain through y'all why we're doing it, right, that maybe we can get a better season. Maybe we can get more catch allocation.
And he was efficient. I mean, we only sat there for 10 minutes.
It was good.
Boom, boom, and threw it back in the boat, and we were ready to go.
Yeah,
he thanked us and all that stuff.
He gave us a few fishing spots.
The true conservationists and all sportsmen,
correct,
should want to do this.
Correct. Correct.
And I think the other thing is like we said, we on every show where we brought you on, trying to show that y'all aren't the bad guys.
Right.
DMR's not out there to pull you over, to give you tickets.
Right.
They're there for your safety. If you're doing something stupid that you shouldn't be, they're going to get you, but they're there for your safety and to educate the people who don't know what's going on.
That's right.
My job's to protect the public, even if that means from yourself.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
And I will say, man, I go to a lot of conferences. I talk to a lot of law enforcement throughout from different parts of the country, and our residents, the people that we serve, are some of the best in the country.
Yeah.
The way they look at law enforcement, the way they talk to law enforcement, the way we're treated, the way we're respected. And hopefully, through our training, when I'm training new officers, I'm trying to reciprocate that back to them too. Mm-hmm. The great thing about our job, 99% of the people that we stop are people just like me and you on their day off fishing.
That's right.
Wanting to spend time with their family.
Right.
They're not a criminal.
Right.
Most of our laws are, if you look at it, yes, they're criminal affidavits that you have to sign for that. A ticket is a criminal affidavit, and it says criminal, but they're not. They're violators. It's no different than you getting pulled over for doing 70 and a 55.
Right.
You're not a criminal. You're not a bad person. You just violated the law that day. And that's what we deal with. Most of our people are that way. And our residents, the people we serve, are great. Yeah. I talk to a lot of law enforcement across the country, and overwhelmingly the support we get down here and the stories that I tell are much different than what they're telling around the country. So
I love it.
And I've had it done where my flares were expired. They didn't write me a ticket. They gave me the warning, hey, you got to get them done by this time. And then I got them done, showed them, boom, ticket went away, or citation, whatever you want to call it.
There's a couple rules that you live by in law enforcement. And, I always tell people, your attitude dictates my demeanor.
Right.
That's
the
it.
yes sir go a long way, right?
That.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Your attitude is going to dictate my demeanor for the day, for the stop.
Yep.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and then I'm going to make my decision after that which way this is going to go.
Yeah, and that's all law enforcement.
Yeah,
100%. You go out there and you start bounding on your chest, they're going to get.
I've cut more people loose that are under 30 years old because they said yes sir or no ma'am or yes sir or thank you or anything like that, just for using that in a sentence to me. showing me that level of respect,
That's right.
I'm automatically saying, okay, this is not a citation time. This is an education time.
That's right. Which is, I'm sure, is your goal.
Absolutely.
Always anyway.
Absolutely. Our guys don't like writing tickets, believe me.
You don't get a bonus at the end of the
More
year.
paperwork.
More paperwork.
Yeah. You got to show up to court, right?
You got to show up to court. It's more scrutiny through your administrators, because I'm going to look at that report. I'm going to look at your ticket count. I'm going to make sure everything's done properly.
Right.
Courts are only on certain days, and it seems like every time I had a day off, it was a court day.
Oh, you got to go. Y'all got to go in on your day off.
Oh yeah, if it's your day off, you're going to court. They set those dates. They're set in stone. You can't do anything about it.
Oh wow. That ain't good.
So a lot of times, man, writing something very, very simple citation when I could just easily, if you were giving me great attitude back, I can just easily educate you. And if I feel like you're not intentionally trying to deceive me, lie to me, or get something over on me, I'm gonna try and educate you and just cut you loose. And most of my guys are that way.
Sweet.
But if you're giving me a reason to sit there and talk to you a lot longer, and a reason to put something in writing to refresh your memory in the future, we'll do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there something on DMR's website where we can go and see a lot of these rules, regulations outside of just getting the license, which would be obviously the best? So, you got to do that.
Yeah. The dmr.ms.gov, you go on there under agency info, you'll go down to regulations, and the regulations are broken down specifically to oysters, shrimp, live baiting, crabbing, boat and water safety. And right there is all the regulations that apply to that are handled, or regulations through the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. There's also state statutes that you have to look at. And of course, you can go on any website for that too. Justia or something like that for the Mississippi Code 1972 annotated, and they'll look at it under boat and water safety there too. It's 59, section 59.
Okay.
So most of the boating water safety is covered under our section on that agency info regulations tab.
Yeah.
Love it.
And we got it on our app. So if you need the fishing limits or any of that stuff, it's right there on the app with the offshore landing permits, tails and scales on there too.
All in there.
Make sure
I do this for a living, and every year before shrimp season, every year for oyster season, every year for boat and water safety season, I take a few minutes and refresh myself on what the laws are that I may have forgotten.
Yeah. So and there's changes made, right? I mean, there's always
changes. Yep.
Stay on top of it.
Well, hey, we appreciate you coming in. I knew it was going to be a great conversation. It was the last time. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to come over here and chat with us. And thank you for keeping the water safe. Like I say, if we can help, I don't want to say change public opinion, but just make them understand why y'all are out there and what you're doing, the reasons why our time will be served.
We really appreciate this platform. Seriously.
Yeah. It's been a great partnership with y'all. It really 100%. Has. We've learned a lot.
Yeah.
We thought we knew some stuff.
No.
We didn't know some stuff.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hopefully we're taking the audience along with us on this education. So you got anything else?
No, I mean, you got time?
We can stay for another 2 hours if you want.
My last thing, we talked about it before. Craziest story you ever seen in the water?
Yeah.
At the boat launch.
At the boat launch. I'm glad you remembered that. I completely forgot.
Yeah.
All right. And if you can't share it, we understand. But if you can, we'd really love to hear it.
So there's a bunch. But if I had to just pick one
or two,
or two or three, I mean,
it's probably just going to go from most recent.
Okay.
Yazoo Point. Get a call, and I go over there, and it's called the Jeep's in the water. All right, went down the boat ramp. And what makes the thing so funny is that when we were pulling the Jeep back up, it just the way we had to hook it, the tow truck train, it's coming in upside down and sideways, and trailers jackknife up over it. And it's a good looking Jeep. And I'm like, that's not a good day for this guy. And he says, wait till you watch the body cam footage. So this guy's like, he says, you're not having a good day. And he's like, yeah, especially since I got in an argument with the wife and she told me not to take the Jeep today. So he lost all of it, but when I did watch the body cam footage, just the look on his face, it's just, it's like something off Family Guy. He's out doing his arms all up.
Just
like
defeated.
Yeah.
Just defeated.
Just crushed. So we get a lot of trucks in the water and stuff like that.
I've always wondered about that. I've always wondered about, because I'm always nervous about myself, my truck,
I set the parking brake every time. I don't get down there to the slime, set the parking brake.
Right.
I don't understand.
Sometimes the tide's low. You gotta go lower, right?
Yeah.
You don't know. It's like, it's slimy right now. Maybe people got 4 jobs, maybe they don't. Is that a big call for y'all? Is vehicle in the water?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. That and fights. You know,
Yeah.
You got any good fight stories you can share without getting in trouble?
No, not really.
I figured that. Here, go on, look it up online.
Yeah,
You'll see it.
Some,
You'll see it.
some of those people haven't identified me yet, so I could.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's that guy.
That's that guy.
That
Yeah.
guy right
yeah.
there.
It happens.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's pretty funny. I will say I'm not to say we hadn't done it. Set up on parking garage and look down, and just eat lunch and watch.
Oh,
it.
people watch.
That's
People
a
watch.
that's a whole YouTube channel, views getting type of thing. Just putting the camera up at the dock and just people know about what time people come in, 4 or 5 o'clock, and just watch and record and see.
It is a disaster,
Yeah.
but hopefully they'll watch this show and be safe
And be
about
safe.
it. Yeah,
That's right. That was the goal.
Absolutely.
That
Getting
was the
better.
goal.
Getting
All right.
better.
Well, until we see you again on the show, if y'all see him out on the water, man, be courteous, be kind, understand that they're doing their job and that they're trying to keep you safe on the water, and do your part to keep yourself safe and everybody else out on the water, like you say, because it ain't just your life, it ain't just people on the boat, it's everybody around you.
Get educated, go to their website, look up all the laws,
That's right.
everything you're supposed to have on the boat. That way, when you do get stopped, it's an easy process. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes,
Bang,
sir.
bang, bang.
They're on your way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to remember, but just look it up. Like you said, you even check it for yourself
I do.
every year.
I
Yeah,
do.
so it is. Stay up to date and know what's going on. We appreciate y'all. Like Joey said, download the app. We got a lot of that stuff inside of the app. You can do it
100%.
right there, one click. It's all in there. If y'all keep tuning in, we'll keep doing them, and we'll see you on the next one.
Later.